Good morning, and welcome to Redeemer Lutheran Church. I'm Pastor Gary Lodeholt. One thing I know, my answer keeps changing. Many of you have heard me say from time to time that occasions will arise in which I'll be in front of a group and suddenly need to lead a program for 30 minutes or so, or fill in a gap of time. What is a pastor to do in those situations? Well, I have developed a few questions that I tend to keep in my pocket that require no preparation and have typically led to fruitful and meaningful discussions. For example, one of those questions I'll ask might be to tell about your favorite person in the Bible and why they are your favorite. As each person shares, we learn about a story in the Bible, we learn about God, and we learn and draw closer to the person as they talk about why this story means something to them. Probably my favorite to ask is, if you could be there to witness any event in the life of Jesus, what would it be and why? I ask that one a lot, and whether or not I get to share my answer in the group, I ask it of myself every time, and I have found that over the years my answer will change from time to time. I've held on to my current answer for maybe 15 years now, so this one has been long-lasting. I have been saying that I would want to be there with those two disciples who were walking to Emmaus on Easter Day and who encountered the risen Jesus. But I'll also have to say I have a very close second choice to that one. I would like to be there when they caught the woman in adultery. Last week I completed 1,000 episodes of Pastor Gary Live, so as we enter this week, it is something of a new beginning after reaching that milestone. So in our time together this week, as we start anew, we are looking at Bible stories when God makes things new and gives new beginnings. And to me, that's what the story of the woman caught in adultery is about. Probably you are familiar with the story. Jesus had been teaching in the temple, and his words stirred up opposition from the Pharisees and the scribes. The next day, Jesus came to the temple early and began to teach the people again. And those same scribes and Pharisees brought to him a woman caught in adultery. Their question seems to indicate that they were trying to see if Jesus would uphold what the law said should be done with her. So it was some kind of test of Jesus. "Teacher," they said, "this woman was caught in the very act of committing adultery. Now, in the law of Moses, it commanded us to stone such a woman. Now, what do you say?" If Jesus said to stone her, then they would say that all his love and forgiveness talk was just talk. And if he said to let her go, they could say he wasn't following Moses and turn the people away from him. Almost forgotten in this story is the woman. In John 8, we are told that they made her stand there in front of the whole group while this discussion of her fate went on around her. How humiliated and ashamed she must have been standing there. No one cared about that except Jesus. Jesus bent down and drew in the sand for a while, and they continued to question him. He didn't stare at her as if she were an object. He didn't look down on her. He drew in the sand, the only one who didn't make a spectacle of her. He allowed her dignity. Finally, he rose and said simply, "Let anyone among you who is without sin be the first to throw a stone at her." And then he bent down to draw in the sand again, not staring and making a spectacle of the woman. One by one, they all left until Jesus was left there with the woman alone. Jesus straightened up and looked at her. "Where is everyone?" he asked. "Has no one condemned you?" She answered, "No one, sir." And Jesus said, "Neither do I condemn you. Go your way, and from now on do not sin again." Such a powerful, meaningful story. This woman is caught. She has no hope of salvation. More, any dignity she has been stripped of her, and she stands there in front of a group of men, exposed. But Jesus sees her as a loved child of God, no matter what, and sets her free. Oh, the joy and the relief she must have felt. But then Jesus also gives her a new beginning. Go on your way and sin no more. She gets a fresh start, another opportunity to begin and to get it right. Paul must have been talking about much the same thing when he wrote to the Colossians. In the 3rd chapter, he writes, "Do not lie to one another, seeing that you have stripped off the old self with its practices, and have clothed yourselves with the new self, which is being renewed in knowledge according to the image of the Creator. In that renewal there is no longer Greek and Jew, circumcised and uncircumcised, barbarian, Scythian, slave and free, but Christ is all and in all." Did you hear the good news there? We have a new self in Christ, made in the image of God. And in this new image, all the things that divide our world are wiped away. We are in Christ, and Christ is all and in all. How many times have we all been caught in our lives and found out, standing there helpless and exposed? It's not a pleasant place to be as we are revealed for who we are deep down, and our life and our fate hangs in the balance. In love, in grace, Jesus says, "I don't condemn you. Go now and begin again." It's our story. Even more, it's God's story. Thanks for watching, and remember to let this day belong to God.